Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, good afternoon, if you're watching the replay. It is currently 5 minutes past 7 p.m., 7:05 p.m. UK time, Thursday, the 19th of May, 2022. Let me just let somebody in the room. Okay, we're good. Welcome to Blockchain Sensei's third ever real estate / property type content webinar, all of which have been live, all of which we intend to be live, run mainly by Zeshan Haroon, mind you, and we're just a facilitator. He's organized most of it. In this episode, we will be talking about Airbnb Lessons with JNQ Properties. That's where you unmute and say hello.
Hi guys, we're JNQ Properties. How are you all?
Lovely. So these guys are brother and sister, right?
Yeah.
Amazing. And they'll be sharing their story with regards to Airbnb. Co-hosted by HoFin Properties. Say hello, boys. Quick introduction.
Hi. Hope everyone's doing good, yeah?
Just introduce yourself.
Yeah, so it's Mahfuj and he is Ridwan, and we were here the last time as well. If some of you were here last time, you might know us, and I can see a few familiar faces and some new people as well, so hopefully this will be very helpful for you lots.
Oh, we got more people coming in. One second. I'm gonna let people in. I'm gonna mute everyone's microphone outside of myself, obviously, Zeshan, HoFin Properties, and JNQ Properties. If anybody would like to say anything, please feel free to unmute yourself or raise your hand digitally. We also really appreciate it for like YouTube content. I know not everybody wants to be on camera, but if you want like sometimes be on camera and say hello, it's good for the YouTube replay. Just before we get started, let me get the adverts out of the way. Blockchain Sensei, we are a multi-Web3 and financial solutions company. We solve problems in the space, including but not limited to, and mind you, first and foremost, education. So financial literacy and financial education is something which is imperative in this world where inflation is rising, job opportunities are decreasing, and I don't want to scare everyone, but AI robots are partially taken over the world. So it's important that we equip ourselves. Now, a quote from one of my favorite investors, traders, and entrepreneurs, Ian Dunlap, the master investor, shout out to Red Panda, Earn Your Leisure, our homies out in America, is all markets are tied together. So I always tell people that my forte as Fadlan or Ninja, as some of you guys know me, is I'm an entrepreneur first. That is what I do. Second of all, I'm a cryptocurrency investor and educator. Then I would say stocks. Then I would say trading. The last thing I know about is real estate. Okay, that's why I'm here to learn as a student. Catch all our episodes, replays on youtube.com/blockchain sensei. I hope to continue to create amazing real estate property type content, which I am a complete student of, led by Zeshan Haroon. Quick disclaimer before we get started, and please do make sure you follow everybody on this Zoom call, including but not limited to Blockchain Sensei, JNQ Properties, Zeshan Haroon, and HoFin Properties, respectfully. Okay, so quick disclaimer. All our content is for education, information, and entertainment purposes only. No information should be considered investment advice or a financial recommendation to buy, sell any assets, nor place any trades. Please always do your own research. It is very important to do your own analysis before doing any or making any investments based on your own individual circumstances. Always take independent professional advice from a professional advisor, or independently research and verify all and any information you may find in our content you wish to rely upon, whether you wish to make an investment decision or otherwise. All investments come with risk. Please always do your own research. We are not financial advisors and do not intend to be perceived or received as financial advisors. However, we are working in collaboration with several accredited advisors. If you're unable to mitigate your risk, then please contact us immediately so we can refer you to an accredited financial advisor. On top of that, let me just, first time I've said this publicly, as we at Blockchain Sensei affiliate ourselves with other companies, please note that just because we make content with somebody doesn't mean that we are in business. I am not in business. At present, as of 19th of May 2022, I can confirm that Blockchain Sensei is not in formal business with Zeshan Haroon, JNQ Properties or HoFin Properties at present, though I'm sure we could be open to. So if you, I'm sure these guys provide amazing service, but if you ever have a problem with a service that they provide and you know them through this video, that has nothing to do with Blockchain Sensei. We merely provided a platform for these guys to speak. I'm sure everyone's amazing. I really trust Zeshan. HoFin Properties is really cool. And subsequently, I'm sure you guys are very knowledgeable. Let me just share something very exciting because I need to get back to this crypto event. But yeah, we recently got an office at DLT Lounge in Canary Wharf, and our office is open to the public most Mondays in the evenings because we do a web show, sometimes Fridays, and every few Thursdays. But let me just show you what's going on, and then we'll let you get onto your webinar.
In the game, all characters are owned by the players. So you're looking at transferring ownership to the players, which is very important in Web3, right? On the other hand, you're looking at fun and engaging gaming experience. So we're very much into marketing.
All right, then that was a Zoom moment. Let me mute myself and Zeshan can say cool. I can't wait to watch the replay, and I'm sad I can't be there live, but I will pop in as I can.
Okay, Ninja, do you want to make me host so that I can sort
I was going to do that.
keep those guys to open the mic?
There we go.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Floors. Okay, hey everyone, hope you're well. So for those of you joining for the first time, if you don't know who I am, my name is Zeshan. I started my service accommodation journey roughly about 1 year ago. I remember like it was yesterday, 18th of May was when I got my first set of keys to my first unit in London, King's Cross. But today's not about me. It's actually, we've got two special guest speakers, brother and sister, who I actually met for the first time back in February at an event. And since then, we've stayed in touch. They operate just outside of London, central London. And they're just going to be sharing their story, how they got started, the challenges they've been facing. And obviously, as the call goes on, if anyone has any questions, just put them in the chat or raise your hand, and myself and HoFin Properties will allow you to open up the mic. So over to you guys, brother and sister. The floor is yours.
Yes, let's start.
There you go.
So hi guys, hope everyone's well. So my name is Jonathan and Shani.
Hi guys, we're brother and sister, and so we started our business about a year ago. We basically became a limited company last year March, and we got our first property last year August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now we've got 3 service accommodation units around Heathrow, and we've been operating. I think we got a second one in November last year.
Yeah.
So we're trying to build a portfolio like month by month and increase the cash flow to 10K. So our goal is to get up to 10K a month profit, and then we're going to go from there. That's the short-term plan right now.
Yeah, so our first one was through a landlord, and the second and third one was through agents. So the second and third one was actually a 2-in-1 deal. So it was like 2 flats in the same block. The first one was a house. So I think we got lucky in the sense that the second and third one were just people that actually, the agents used to do service accommodation. So I think they were very familiar with it. So it's easier for us to get that deal. But the first one was actually the hardest deal. I think that was our challenging deal, because the landlord wasn't familiar with service accommodations or company lets as such. So we had to kind of explain to him and like make sure that we're actually viable people to work with. And there was a lot of back and forth. I think it took us, how long did it take us to get that first deal when we met him?
So we did the viewing like early June, and then we signed the papers like early August. It was about 2 months process.
Yeah.
Because we're going back and forth with the contract, and he's trying to put all the liability on us because they're unsure about what can happen to his property when he gives it to us.
Yeah.
Instead of a tenant, because we're gonna have different tenants. So we negotiated back and forth with the landlord, and we came to a middle ground saying that okay, these are our duties, these are your duties, and so far it's been going well.
Yeah, he's actually really easy to work with. Like if there's any issues in terms of issues or anything that he needs to sort out, without question, he'll come and sort us out. He doesn't say, you need to pay for this and stuff. So it doesn't cause any issues. But I think at the beginning it was just because it was our first deal. Whilst we were getting the deal, we were also doing viewings. So we were making sure that we had to carry on just in case we don't get the deal. So in the end, we didn't think that he would literally be like, yes. He was going back and forth with his mortgage provider as well. So in my head, I thought, yeah, we're not going to get this deal. Let's just move on and do the other one, but still keep him there. But luckily we did get the deal, and it worked out in the end, and we're still doing it. It was the biggest cosmetic refurb we've done as well. I think it took quite long. It took about 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks. So initially we planned for 2 weeks, and there was like a few hiccups along the way regarding like certain furniture and beds and mattresses. So those things took a bit longer to arrive. So that's why it took 3 weeks to do it.
Yeah, I think now we've learned that which stuff we need to order first and how to systemize it properly, and what we need to do in terms to get the property ready, and what we should spend less time on, because obviously when we get it tenanted, we need to get it tenanted as soon as possible so we can get the income coming in. So I think now it was a lot of it was a learning curve for us. It was a roller coaster, I'd say.
And also we recommend getting like a rent-free period with the landlord. So we negotiated 2 weeks rent-free period. So we paid half the rent for the first month, and we recommended also to put on Airbnb as soon as you get the keys, because then you start getting bookings. So you can block 1 or 2 weeks ahead of time, and then afterwards you get bookings from people. So you kind of know what kind of income you're gonna make from the bookings.
Yeah.
That's what I would recommend doing that initially. And if you imagine you get a booking early, like you get like 2 months booking at the start, then it gives you incentive to do the work faster. So you can hire someone to do the work for you as well. So in our case, we did everything ourselves, and we had even family members helping us as well.
Yeah, so we had cousins helping us with painting, and it was fun for us to even go through that process. Like, it was really enjoyable. But yeah, I mean, some people, they can get it done within a week, to be honest. But we took our time, did everything, made sure everything was perfect, and did our own little interior design. I think we chose a color scheme. It was like teal and mustard, so we stuck to those 2 colors, with obviously black, white and gray. Aim for, and it worked out in the end. It looks really good. There's a reel that we posted as well on our Instagram if you want to check it out, with how it was before and after, and we're very proud of it, to be honest, so that's good. But the second and third property was newly refurbished, so there wasn't much cosmetic refurb to get into. It was more about furnishing it. So that one it didn't take too long. Again, the orders took long. So obviously we know now. We know the orders, we know what to order first. We ordered the bed and the mattress first. And got the Wi-Fi in first as well. So that took about 2 weeks to do, isn't it? So it's 2 flats. And fortunately for us, they're on top of each other. So the first flat was on the second floor, and the second flat was on the third floor. And it's easy to move around between the flats. So they made it quite easy for us. And we just ordered everything through different, like, Fair, Argos, Made.com. Argos comes quite quickly as well, because it depends on where you are. You can even pick it up. They can deliver to you within a week. And we recommend, because the Wi-Fi can take a long time to come, we recommend ordering in a dongle as well. So you can have that for any other properties that you'd like. So a dongle is basically like a router, isn't it? That you can. It's like a hotspot that you plug into the wall. And you just put a SIM card into it. I think it's about 20 quid for the SIM card a month, and dongle itself is about 40 to 60 pounds. It depends on what you get. So that could be your like Wi-Fi replacement until you sort your Wi-Fi out properly, because I know some Wi-Fi does take like a month to come. And you don't want to waste time, and like you don't want to tell you wait. You don't want the guests to use that Wi-Fi. So that's the main thing. They ask what's the Wi-Fi.
Zeshan, sorry if I could just interrupt. Zeshan, I'm relying on you whilst I'm not host. You know I'm a grilling host. So
I know. I'm just
make sure you're asking the questions and that. You know what I mean?
Blockchain
Sensei, you go in with the concept. No, you guys are doing great. I'm enjoying this in the background.
Thank you. But yeah, that's basically it.
So our main goal is to get the properties done and like laid out in a certain way that we're hands off. So we only need to do it if there's an emergency. So right now we're systemizing, when the process is systemizing it. So we've got a cleaner that does all the work for us, and she goes in, there's any issues. So even the first few months was quite a learning process as well, because we had to see what kind of duties involved us going there. For example, sometimes guests locks themselves out. That means we have to go there and let them in. So in that scenario, we'll put another key safe in. So they do self-checking with one key safe. And if they lock themselves out, there's another key safe that they can get the keys from. So in that scenario, we don't need to go and let them in. So we save time in that regard.
Yeah.
Are you guys able to share like the numbers on the deals that you've done in terms of the rent you've paid, what it costs to furnish the deals, that sort of stuff?
Also, as you said, it's near Heathrow. I remember we had someone approach us with a deal near Heathrow as well. So I just want to know, I wasn't too confirmed or like, persuaded in terms of occupancy rates. So you could just slightly touch on that as well, about how your bookings are doing. I'd like to know that as well. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
So in terms of costing, the rent for the first house, so it's a 3-bedroom house. So the rent for that is £1,700, and then including the bills, it comes to just over £2,100 a month.
Okay,
that's the total going for that property. And initially we priced at £130 a night. So that will break. So we always tend to break even at 50% occupancy. So we make sure that we can pay the landlord when it's at 50% occupancy, and our average occupancy is about 80-90%. It's better if you get higher. So I think earlier, like this first 3 months of the year, it was quite high occupancy, like nearly 95%. So in that regard, we made a lot of profit as well. And when also we also use like Price Labs and other softwares that can predict the nightly rate. So further down the line, we can put the price up. So for example, if it's August, we price the property £200 a night. So if they book ahead of time, then we get a high profit. And as long as is system is in a way that as you're close to the date, that the price goes down, and it goes down to minimum £130 a night. Mm-hmm. That's how we tend to work out. So sometimes we get a booking. For example, we got a booking for £3,000 for 2 weeks. So I was like, that was a good booking for me.
That doesn't really do feel good,
But that was like the day before changing the prices. Because that booking came in right after the guest left. So we had a long-term guest. Because they're actually getting the house refurbed. So because I knew when they booked for 2 weeks, they would stay for longer. So they stay for 5 weeks in the end. Yeah. And in that case, I also took them from Airbnb and asked them to book directly. So then they get a cheaper rate, and I get a better return as well. So
you didn't turn it into a direct booking, so you didn't need to pay no commissions to any Airbnb or other platforms.
Exactly.
That's great.
So I always recommend guests. I always let them know, like, because now I branded it in a way that they can approach me directly.
Yeah.
They see, because of my brand names on Airbnb. So some people who are aware of that situation, they can Google me and find out the brand name, and they can find the direct booking links as well. And
great.
What was your question again?
Yeah, was your question about occupancy, HoFin Properties?
No, you did cover that though. Yeah, you said you're like about 80 to 90 or 90-ish. That's quite healthy, to be honest. Yeah.
And we tend to get like corporate bookings. We kind of prefer corporate bookings because the builders come and then they use place for sleeping. So they leave like 6 in the morning, and they come around like 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon, and they go to bed like 9, 10 o'clock latest. So there's no chance of partying, and they don't make a mess, and they don't do a bad review.
And the way we know that the timing they sleep, not because they're spying on us, because we have a minute alarm. So if you're aware of that, it's to kind of sense the noise levels. So we know when they've gone to bed, because it goes down and whatnot. And also we have a ring bell outside the front door, so we can see like when they leave, when they come back. It's easy for us to kind of see how many guests there are, and if there's someone that's not meant to be there, kind of thing.
There has been issues earlier this year.
Was it this year?
This year,
Wow.
I told you the wedding party.
Oh yes, yeah. Someone did like a wedding party at the house property, 3-bedroom property, and it was
Which
messy.
one?
I must say, we had to actually go in and kind of keep them out. We should never have we never
Oh,
had
okay.
done. Yeah, and they
Did you
refused to
not
get
charge
out.
them to break the rules?
We tried to charge them. What happened then? We went to booking.com.
I mean, at that time, we didn't have any deposit in place. So now we
Okay.
actually use Superhog for guest verification and deposits. So that kind of prevents anyone who's gonna use the property for different reasons other than staying. If they use it for a party, they're gonna get charged.
Right. Okay.
We have like certain systems in places to avoid those kind of things.
Yeah. So that was a challenging for us. It's very challenging. So we have like rules and saying strict, parties, blah, blah, blah. But no one really follows those rules. So it's easy to get things like Superhog deposits because it's more likely they would like kind of comply to it in that case. Because they know we've got the money.
What did it cost to actually furnish the properties?
Yeah, that was the first one. We actually used a lot of secondhand furniture. So we used a lot from Facebook
Basic
Marketplace. So including furnishing and all the painting, just about around £3,000. And we got that within £3,000.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, we had no deposit with the landlord. So we just gave half my rent. That was like £800 or something.
850.
850, yeah. That was 2 weeks rent.
Yeah, 2 weeks rent, and there was £3,000 for furnishing and the cosmetic refurb. So we tried to keep our costs low, and that's why we went to Facebook Marketplace. And there's quite a lot there that you can get good quality and stuff like that. We did spend a lot of time driving back and forth to like Central and stuff, trying to get the stuff. But obviously now it's challenging, it's very challenging. So we thought, oh my gosh, every single deal is going to be like that. It was like days and nights doing that. But yeah, as long as you have a system and ways to kind of do it, then it will become easier. And if you can spend a lot of money for it to get done in a week, and then you get it filled up really quickly and you'll get that money back, whereas doing it in 3 weeks, someone can be there occupying it for those 2 weeks and you can get more rent. So now we know, kind of thing.
I mean, it takes as long as it takes. So then if you set yourself 2 weeks, it would take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But I know like I know another person who's went to rent. He had like 2 locations. He systemized so in a way that he has like 3 locations. So one's in Liverpool, another one's in Birmingham, another one's in Somerset. So it's all completely remote, and he works full time as well. And he managed to get set up in 2 days. So I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, it's all about mindset, like you said, like if you set yourself 2 weeks and you get it done in 2 weeks, but if you set yourself in 2 days, then that's possible as well, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just what you say to yourself, that I can get this done in 2 days. Then as long as you have everything in stock, then you can get done in 2 days.
Yeah, for sure.
How did you actually find those deals? The one through the landlord, was it through a website, word of mouth?
Well, we kind of called, we did so many viewings. So we called agents, we messaged Open Rent. So we found, are you guys familiar with Open Rent? It's basically,
a few of them are, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a website. You could just message landlords to kind of view a property if you want to rent. So this landlord, we specifically found him in Open Rent. So we've had a few rejections. It wasn't like the first landlord, it was like the 50th or 60th landlord that we kind of messaged or called up, because we kind of had the mindset that, okay, every rejection doesn't matter, just keep going on to the next, because we've rejected a lot. And there was one specific landlord that we went to a viewing with. He rejected us to our face, and it was very daunting because he was quite mad. He was like, why didn't you tell me this is what you do? You're wasting my time, you wasted your time. Then after that, I was like, that's it, I can't do this anymore. Well, not like that, but I was just sort of like, how are we gonna, change it up? So we did different messages, like telling them what we do in the initial message, so they know they're familiar with it, so that the viewing itself can be easier. So I think with this specific landlord, I don't think we told him what we do in the message, but we spoke to him at the viewing, and we kind of looked at everything, and was like, oh yeah, this is nice. And then spoke to him like, actually, we do corporate letting, blah blah blah. And then he was like, okay. And you can tell I asked him like, what kind of what kind of tenants do you want? What kind of, like, what makes you happy? And he goes, tenants that pay on time, etc. And obviously we would offer that. And I said, well, we offer guaranteed rent. So are you interested? And he goes, yeah, just let me know, send me a website, this, that, and the other. We went home, sent him the website, gave him an email, and kind of after that, it was just like a back and forth thing. In my head, I kind of lost hope for a while because he didn't get in touch for like a week and a bit. And in that week and a bit, we had a lot done, meaning we went to do other viewings, saw many other landlords. Then he messages randomly out of the blue saying, oh, by the way, I've checked with the mortgage provider. And I was like, oh yeah, it was this guy.
Yeah, you forgot who he was.
I was like, Babish, which one is that? And then that's his name, sorry. And then so he was like, so then we realized, okay, he's actually following through. So he's interested. So you need to understand what the landlord wants from you. Like, is he able to be hands-off? Is he a busy landlord? Does he have kids? Does he, what does he want? How does he want to kind of manage his property? And we realized he's a busy landlord. He lives further away from his property, from the property that we're managing. He can't like come back and forth as quickly as we can, and he just wants the rent to be paid on time. And we offer all those things. And so it was one of those things where we kind of like sell ourselves as people, and him liking us as people, and then being compliant and like doing the whole contract. And the contract obviously was the most difficult part, but because I work in a law firm, I have a boss that helped me out with the contract. So he kind of did the contract for free for me, as in like, we have a contract in place, but he kind of helped with the back and forths and stuff, and just make sure that we're not liable for too much, but also we have like, we're fair. Like, he's liable for certain things, we're liable for certain things, in terms of tenants and stuff. So after a lot of back and forths, it was like, in the end, I kind of lost hope a little bit. Like, is he going to sign it or not? Because every time we decide to sign it, he changes another section of the contract. And then the minute that we went to the house and signed it together, that was when I was like, thank the Lord, we've got the best deal. And it was like the exhilarating feeling ever. We were just like, wow.
And also, like, I wouldn't say too much to the landlord.
Yeah.
So you don't tend to use the word rent to rent. So it's like a word we don't use, and we also don't tell them the plan of what we're going to do. Like, we don't want to say we're going to use a service accommodation, because then we give them the idea to do it himself. If the landlord's like clever enough to do it themselves, then they would just take the deal from you and then make the money themselves. So you say that it's for our clients, and we know certain people who work with us. So you need houses and stuff. That's how we're getting it. So I would say that as well.
So what do you
like
tell the
short to
landlord?
long
Like, just
term?
There were a few questions there, isn't it?
I think SJS was trying to say something.
She asked, what do you say to the landlord? So maybe what she meant by that is, maybe, how we're very familiar with that sentence, that rent to rent is illegal. So how do you cope up with that? What's your answer to that?
We just, because when they say, oh, is it like subletting?
I wouldn't say rent to rent illegal.
Yeah,
It's not illegal.
I think he means like subletting.
Yeah, subletting is illegal. I mean, subletting is illegal, but if you do it, the way we do it is management agreement. So we can manage the property, which makes it legal. And guaranteed rent schemes known by mortgage brokers. So it's a known thing. It's just people they're not familiar with that part of the system.
Yeah, so if it's like an AST, so in a short hold tenancy, doing that would be illegal, because subletting like that is illegal.
The clause that you can't sublet.
The management agreement with the landlord is completely different.
Yeah.
So we say we corporate letting, which is technically it, because a lot of our tenants are corporate. Even if it's through Airbnb, it's corporate.
Yeah.
So that's the way we explain it. Like, we relocate them, sort of thing. Like, we're a relocation agency that house these people, and we can get you tenants, we'll get you the money, we'll get you the guaranteed rent, and it's short to long term lets. That's how you say it. You do not use the word sublet, or we don't.
And also the agents also have two contracts. They have the regular contract and they have a company contract as well. So even agents know about what these contracts are. And that's how it works. And so if you work with the agent, you take that contract and you amend it to your needs. If it's with the landlord, you take your own contract and then
they amend it.
Yeah, so you amend it between yourselves and just come to an agreement there.
Yeah. And a lot of agents are very familiar as well, like you said. So you can just speak to them and say, do you do company lets, or is that landlord are they open to company let? It's either a straight yes, straight no. Like no, then
it's quite straightforward with agents.
Yeah.
because the issue with agents is that you need to be a guarantor, because if it's landlord, they don't need a guarantor in a way. Only agents need to make sure that they're protected as well, regardless if it's, because agents do certain packages with the landlords. So for example, they do tenant fine only, and they do fully managed as well. So which means, so tenant fine means as long as they find a tenant, then the relationship is done with the landlord and them, and they get the fee from the landlord. But if it's fully managed, they keep getting a fee throughout the whole period. So when you go to agents, ask them what your relationship with the landlord is, and if it's tenant owned, tenant fine only, or fully managed. And the thing is that because we both have incomes, we show ourselves as guarantors to make sure that we can pay the rent every single month on time. Because agents need to be confident that we can pay, otherwise it's going to become their issue as well.
Yeah.
Cool. We've got another question. Someone asked, so when you take on a property, what's the first thing you order? What's the next thing you order, etc. in regards to furnishing, Wi-Fi and whatnot?
Yeah, the first thing I would do is obviously order the Wi-Fi. That takes the longest. Maybe it takes 2 weeks sometimes. And obviously, as you said, we put a dongle in. So until the Wi-Fi comes, we put a dongle in, even for our use, and for the guest comes before the Wi-Fi, we do that. And first thing we order is the bed and all the bedding and the mattresses, because that's what we need in an SA. That's the most important thing. If there's no TV, it doesn't matter. You need a bed, and the bedding sometimes it takes a while as well. And then I would go to the next room we do.
The living room.
Living room, because then you need the sofa, the living room furnishings.
Yeah, table.
Coffee table, side tables, and like TVs and everything like that.
Lamps, table lamps, anything aesthetic. Anything aesthetic can come last.
Yeah, anything decorative can become last.
Yeah.
Because then you can always move, you can always change it between the stays as well. We always aim to get 80% of the things before the guest comes in, the first guest comes. Afterwards, we can always add things and remove things from the furniture.
Yeah, we're still doing it. Even months later, we're still kind of upgrading it.
Yeah, we do some from time to time. We just see maybe something is changing, so we just go change it. We do an upgrade, and then the landlord comes on. You can see the property as well.
Yeah,
you can see they change the sofa. They got a new TV, so he'll be happier as well.
Yeah, we would say the bedding first. So we do the bedroom stuff first, then it should be the living room, and then the bathroom last, because really and truly everything's there in the bathroom. You just need like a few bits and bobs. Like if you need a bigger mirror, you can change it, or you can, have bath mats or whatever you need, like shower curtains, or we tend to use that glass. It's much more professional for us. So we use that, what's it called? Bath glass, shower glass, yeah.
Because when we had the shower curtain, and I wouldn't have a shower curtain, because firstly it can be a hazard, and they do catch a lot of dirt on, so we just change that to a shower glass, so it makes it a lot easier to clean and safe to the guests as well.
And it's much more neater. It gives it a really nice, sleek, professional look. So yeah, that's what we'd order first. And if you want to do Facebook Marketplace, which will come quite quickly, you can do that. But that's at your own risk if you trust the people that you. Because we've had a bit of issues when we started as well, when we tried to get a mattress back and forth. It wasn't that great, like with the people that we messaged first. So then we decided to get it on Groupon, didn't we?
Yeah.
In the end. And we also had some mattresses in stock for ourselves. So we just used that temporarily until we got better mattresses. So Facebook Marketplace, I think it's good for desks, chairs, anything like that, because a lot of people have IKEA items on Facebook Marketplace. You'd be surprised, and they sell it for a lot cheap. And you can get similar items. I think we've got little lamps as well for each room that looks exactly the same from like 2 different people.
It's a common thing. IKEA is quite a common. They sell a lot of IKEA stuff. So if you type IKEA on Marketplace search, you see their stock, and you can see what you're going to buy.
Desks and all the chairs that you need. And we recently replaced the sofa, like you said, and kitchen table. So yeah, like I said, it's always just a thing that you keep upgrading as you go. But the main thing is the bedroom and living room.
Guys, in terms of linens, towels, etc., how much of extra items of those would you suggest to keep aside, just in case the guest needs it right then and there, or something gets dirty, or like for long-term clients, people who would be staying for more than 2 weeks or 3 weeks a month, how much extra linens, bed covers, pillowcases do you provide with them?
Right. So normally in terms of like sets, we like different sets. So we try to keep the same kind of linen. So we tend to use white for everything, which is not the best idea.
Yeah.
It does get quite dirty. We tend to have 3 sets. So one which is on the bed, and one which is in storage, and another one that's getting washed. So that's what we normally do. So when the cleaner comes in, they take the one that's in storage and replace it, and then put the other one ready to get taken over by the laundry company. And as they collect the old one, they put the new one in the storage. That's the way we do at the moment. And that kind of, because it's easier than doing two. Initially, we had 2 sets of bedding, and sometimes if there's delays or if there's a damage into the one of the linen, then it will cause a delay. So I just thought it's good to have 3 sets. So then it's good to have in rotation. And we also use a laundry company that delivers and collects. So we also hands off in that.
Oh, is it?
So,
okay. How much do they charge, or how much do you pay for that?
they charge about 250 per kilogram. So for the house, it will cost about £25 to get a wash done. But I know some cleaners that do washing as well.
Yeah.
So they do take the washing with them, and then they take it to the laundry. You need to find like good housekeeper who does that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not easy to find good cleaners, because we've had a lot of
Cleaners
turnover.
is a big issue as well.
Cleaner is a big issue because at the beginning we just don't know like how they might want to do it a different way than we do, and we have a certain way we want to get it done.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't do it as properly, and we have like a certain way that we need to kind of do it to attract professional clients and the caliber of our tenants, really. So yeah, we've had a high turnover. I think the ones we have now.
I mean, right now we've been consistent with the cleaners we have right now.
Yeah.
So they've been there for months.
Yeah.
But what I recommend is to maybe put a few ads up for cleaners. So even on Gumtree, we also use thing called Turnover BNB. So they do like they have cleaners on there as well, and you can just put your property on there, and they will start bidding for the prices. So they do that, and so it's good to get a few cleaners and interview them. So maybe 3 cleaners in a day, and then say these are your requirements. What are the experiences they have, and what can they provide for you? So instead of just being cleaner, they need to be a housekeeper, which means they look after the house for you as well. So it's good to pay them. I'm happy to pay them extra money if I'm going to be hands off. So instead of paying £60, I can pay £100 to the cleaner. So they take out the house instead of just doing the cleaning instead.
Yeah.
So anything that needs replacing, anything, and if there's any issues out of hours, they can come and have a look. So we still need to find a good housekeeper at the moment.
Yeah.
We just use cleaners at the moment.
Yeah, and we do the maintenance and stuff. We still go in back and forth.
Yeah.
It's close to us at the moment, but yeah, we're aiming to do something hands off.
Yeah.
I've got a question. How many hours a week do you guys actually spend on your business? Because I know you both work full time as well.
Yeah. So recently I started tracking my time just to see how long I'm spending in each activity. So there's like I think I can recommend a few trackers. One is called A Tracker. So you can put in tasks of what you're doing on a daily basis, for example, email or calls or whatever. Another one called Toggler as well. And then you just press start and then you can time until you finish it. So we tend to, we don't spend a lot of time on properties right now, do we?
Not physically, but remotely, we do quite a lot of admin. I think you do quite a lot more than me, because when I finish work at like 5 o'clock, so I'd then do what I need to do after 5. You're more hands-on in terms of the admin and sorting out bits and bobs like turnover and systemizing and stuff. So right now we're working on trying to systemize it in order to be hands-off. But at the beginning we were very hands-on. So we did everything, every single thing ourselves, like cleaning and stuff. So there was a lot of time spent before.
Because right now we're in the process of branding and marketing at the moment. So we're working with another person who's doing branding for us and marketing, and we're also making a direct website and systemizing the property and the systems and everything. So I'm spending 5-6 hours a day, 5 days a week, just to get everything done. So we can start getting more properties and add to a portfolio.
Yeah, and whilst I work remotely in this office, so he then sometimes comes back and forth, and like we kind of do something together. Like if he needs help with anything, I'll be like, yeah, let's do this. So I'll draft an email or something. So I'll kind of do it whilst I'm working remotely my full-time job, even though that's not allowed, but I still do that. It doesn't really matter. So that's how we kind of make it happen. I don't really track my time. I just do it as I go.
Good question from Suraj.
Better to have bills. This one.
You do the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of bills included, if it's for the landlord side, so that depends on the agent on the landlord. Because I know some agents do offer bills included. So there are certain studios or like certain apartments which have bills included as well, and that makes it easier for you because you just pay one amount every single month instead of having different direct debits go at your bank. But normally our properties, they're not bills not included. So we just find the best supplier and the cheapest supplier, which is good for us. And some areas don't have certain broadband as well. So the house got Virgin Media and then the flats don't have Virgin Media access. So we tend to use another internet provider in that area. So in terms of that, we just, our rent and bills are separate. So it does work out for us because we do find the cheapest deal. So arguments are cheap for us.
Yeah.
And working full time, I don't think we had any issues during work time, did we?
Have you ever had a customer issue while I work? No.
Yeah, most issues happen in the evening when when they party,
Yeah, or in the weekends, which is lucky for us in terms of sorting it out.
But now, no. As we had issues because for the flats, because it's a one-bedroom flat, if it's one-nighters, we definitely know 90% of the time they book for parties. So when we made the minimum night stay 4 nights. So most of the time people coming in, they're doing work or they're doing something appropriate, which is doesn't cause issue for us.
Yeah.
And for the house, we got 7 nights stay minimum, which makes we have less turnovers of guests. So it's less outgoing in terms of cleaning fees and laundry. So, and there's no issues with longer term guests. Because one night guests, they cause a big problem for us. Like, I don't know what the pattern is, but short term guests, they're the one causing issues. The long term ones, they don't make any noise. We had like 5 weeks of guests, we had no issues with them.
No, not at all.
They called us once because they locked themselves out.
Yeah. And
I just said there's a key safe there. You can use that key to get in.
Yeah.
That's all that happened.
And they left it clean as well. The long-term guests leave it cleaner.
Yeah.
As opposed to one-day guests. It's weird, but that's how it is.
Someone's asked regarding if the landlord has a standard buy-to-let mortgage on the property, will they need to change it to a SA specialist type mortgage before they give it to you guys?
Well, ideally, yes and no, because the landlord that we had, he had to check with his mortgage provider if it was already like a holiday let, wasn't it?
No holiday let.
Not even a holiday let. It was something. It was to be able to.
No. If it's a buy-to-let mortgage, they need just put a clause in, saying that they can give it to someone to manage it, and to change the whole product is a longer process, because then you change the use of the property to become a holiday let, and that's a longer process. So you can even approach landlords, because if you do a landlord that's living that's going to move out, then you need to put a clause in regarding consent to let clause, which means they can let out someone else. So for example, if the landlord lived there before you, then you just need to do that. If they already have a buy-to-let mortgage, they need to put a clause in, someone else can manage it for you. And if they have a holiday let, then that's the ideal, isn't it?
Yeah, if that's the ideal scenario, then that's just basically service accommodation.
Yeah.
Kicked off, you can do it.
Yeah, most likely they don't service accommodation so often, isn't it?
Yeah, most likely they would if it was a holiday let. That's their intention.
Oops, I've muted them.
I thought that was a question.
I thought they were like, hello.
Another question from
We got another one. Someone said, I don't know what they mean. What type or document required from the council? Maybe in terms of legalities or?
mean, with council tax, we just pay council tax normally because we're not because the council tax got two bands. So either it's business, which is the business premises, such as a company, but we're just using it as a residential properties. We just pay residential council tax.
Yeah.
And it's just on our name. That's pretty straightforward. We had no issue. No one's come back to us saying, why is your name on these properties? Because there's no database like that.
Yeah, because you're allowed to put your company name on there.
Maybe you just put our own name on.
Yeah, you could put our own name on it as well. How to do with undeclared parties.
Yeah. So we just use Superhawk, which is it's like a software that verifies your guests and also puts a deposit in so the guests pay the deposit through Superhawk. And because the thing with Superhawk is they got database as well, which means that if the guest has used them before and caused issues with the previous day, then that would flag up for us as well. So we kind of would know that the guest is not a good guest. So they tell us ahead of time that this guest not suitable, so we'll block them immediately. But that's not happened so far.
Yeah.
And also putting a deposit in also diverts guests that are gonna party.
Yeah.
Because if they're gonna lose £300 in one night by partying, then it's not better for them.
Yeah.
So those kind of things like make us go somewhere else,
Yeah, because they'll be more liable if they put that deposit down.
And also having a minimum night stay as well. So maybe have a longer minimum night stay. Because initially we had one night and then we made it 2 nights.
Yeah.
And then even 2 nights, we had issues with 2 nights. So then we made it 4 nights now. And so far we had no issues with longer stays.
Yeah.
Also having those Ring doorbells and Minute, all of them, with, I guess, we haven't had them in our property. Minute we don't, but you do, right? So they do tell you as well, right, that what's the noise level, and depending on that you can judge how many people there is. And the camera, there's nothing else that can beat the camera, I guess.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the camera, and there's also Minute's got another system, so you can pay. They've got different packages, which means that if you get a certain package, so if there's a high noise alert, then you can alert the Minute to send their agent there, so you don't need to go there yourself. They send that guy there who's already a security guard or someone who's qualified enough to kick someone out.
That would be good.
Yeah, so you just press one button and then someone else goes there, kicks the people out, and it's not your problem. It's not your problem anymore.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It's a feature they come up with like a couple of months ago.
But that's so good. That would save us a lot.
Yeah, and then you get your deposit as well.
Double in one.
Yeah.
2 in 1.
Public liability insurance.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have our insurance for our company.
There's professional indemnity insurance and there's public liability. So I think you should talk to your insurance brokers about this as well, because obviously I don't know much about it personally. I just speak to an insurance broker and then we kind of get quotes, and because you have to make sure you're covered in case something happens. And I think the landlord or whoever owns the property, they have their own insurance
as well.
Yeah. In case of like a fire or anything like that, God forbid. But other than that, you do need insurance for your business itself.
And they're not that expensive, are they? They're quite reasonable.
No, they're good. It's needed for covered in case, like for example, if you don't look after something and then you have to spend more on whatever it is, you'd rather make sure you're covered and insured.
Instead of paying out of your pocket.
Yeah, it's safe to do that.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, guys. In terms of your branding, like how are you going through that? How's that coming up? Also, who are you using?
We work with a guy called Piers, that's recommended by Zeshan, and he has a company called
we both use it. We both use them.
You used to use it too.
Yeah.
Zeshan. I mean, so far he's been very good. Yeah, I mean, I'm only week 1 right now. They're gonna have a first call tomorrow for week 1.
Yeah.
So far they've amended they changed our Airbnb account in brands to our own brand. So it makes it easy for guests to book, and they made it more attractive.
Guys, just wait for week 3. It's amazing when you see all those search results and everything as compared to your competitors, the way that it shoots up. That's good. Yeah, feels good.
We also think we use a called Boostly as well, because Grow Your Beam, then the websites, Boostly to make my own website. So I'm part of the academy. I just use their assets to make my website for direct bookings as well. So that's been really good as well.
Right. So guys, a question about long-term booking, yeah? So let's say next month, in June, you got about 2 to 3 bookings throughout the month, and then you get an inquiry from, let's say, Airbnb or booking.com that someone wants to stay for, let's say, 1 month or 2 months, but you already got 2 to 3 bookings throughout June or July.
Smaller bookings.
Yeah, smaller bookings, 1 night, 2 night, 3 nights. How would you deal with that?
I mean, if the booking when the booking comes in, the calendar is blocked up as well. So if there's so I mean, I would prefer longer term bookings instead of short, because it's less turnover.
Yeah.
And you're paying less money for the cleaning and laundry, and you're dealing with the same person for longer term. So right now,
yeah. I mean, would you cancel those smaller bookings throughout the month and then take on the longer term booking, or what would you do?
I mean, in that scenario, I would cancel the short term booking, because then calendars is more full, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had a scenario that's happened, but in that case, I prefer the longer term, I guess.
It is a lot better to have the longer term guests, because like you said, there's less work to do, like maintenance wise or cleaning wise and whatnot. Because we've found that the long term guests are the one that leaves the property in a better condition than the shorter term guests.
Correct.
So we would 100% prefer the longer term guests, just because you don't have to keep managing things in between, apart from sending a cleaning once or twice if we needed to.
Also good to have connections with you.
Yeah. So that's something we faced. So it was from February all the way to May. We had about 4K worth of bookings that was scattered around throughout the month, and then there was an inquiry for 3.5 months. So we had to literally, and one thing good for us was that in the same block, in the same apartment, in the same building, there's about like 15 more apartments that's managed by other investors. So what we had to do is we had to literally transfer all the bookings, all the I think it was about 4K worth of bookings, to the other investor, and then we took the long-term booking. So it was quite good for us.
Yeah, we also got a 10% from. Yeah, we kept a 10% commission from them, because essentially you are giving them the bookings, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
Because we do have because in the apartments we have other vendors as well, other operators there as well.
Yeah.
We tend to have connections with them, so we always hand over different.
You've done that before, didn't you?
We did that once with one guest.
Yeah.
We had one guest stay for longer time.
Yeah, and then we handed over, because there's so many key safes in that place. So we realized, okay, there's quite a few operators here. So that's when it gave us the confidence that, okay, this location works then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Was managing it, so it's really good. But yeah, that's a good idea as well.
Have you guys had that scenario where, what's it called, you've had to cancel a short-term guest to accommodate a long-term guest? Yeah.
Maybe going forward, but not
so if that scenario did come up, how would you go about cancelling the guest's booking?
Not really sure. I mean, we do have a 7-night minimum. We have no like short-term guests in the future. So all bookings in the future are quite long term anyway. But
so the way how I've done it in the past when I've got bookings through Airbnb and I had like a long-term client come through directly is I wouldn't put it in the chat and tell the guest that the bookings cancelled. Most 95% of the time they'll have an email address and phone number. I'd rather call them so that Airbnb doesn't know, and just make an excuse of saying that the property is no longer available. If you cancel, you'll get a full refund. And it will help you to find alternative accommodation. And then they generally cancel from their side. Because what happens if you put it in the Airbnb chat, then Airbnb, they might flag it up, and then you'll have to pay like a fee to book to Airbnb.
Yeah,
So I've sort of done it in the past.
makes sense.
That's a good
Bad
idea. Very good idea.
We don't have any.
250.
Another thing is, if you've got in your rule book for guests to send ID and sign your terms and conditions, and if they don't do that, then you can actually cancel their booking, and Airbnb won't have an issue with that as long as you've got that in your rule book.
Right. Okay. It's good to that too. We can just say like Superhog is not approved, and they can just cancel the booking. Isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do you guys any of you guys use Superhog?
No, I don't use it. No.
Right.
Yeah, we don't use
You don't
it.
use it. Right.
What about ICO data protection? Have you guys done that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you have.
So we got IPO and PRS as well.
PRS scheme. Yeah,
That means everything's protected.
yeah.
You can also get an NRLA, so it's National Landlords Association. So you connect with other landlords and you can ask them questions or call them directly to get support in that way as well. Like even legal support, if you have any legal issues, then someone can support you legally.
So someone asked me a question ago. You can answer if you want. It's up to you. They said, "What's the name of the agents you to source the property, and how do you get clients?"
We can't disclose that at the moment.
Okay, you can answer the latter part. How do you get clients?
I mean, I would just say like it's a numbers game, isn't it? Because we had to do 50 calls or 50, 60 calls before we got a few leads, and we went on a dozen viewings before we got our first landlord. So it's a numbers game, and like some landlords they're aware of this, and obviously with the first property it's gonna be a bit more difficult because one landlord he asked for a bank statement to show that we got income coming in from rent, but we had no like any bank statement saying that. And now if you're gonna go back to the landlord now, we can prove to him that these are the income, these are the outgoings. You can see the balance every single month.
Yeah.
So then that will make it easier. So if you go back to him today, then we can get the property from him.
Because we were so close to getting that deal as well, because that landlord, it was before we got our first one, whilst we were liaising with our landlord, he kind of was like, yeah, I like you guys, we'll go forward with it. When I get home, I'll just email you what we need. And I just thought it'd be so simple and then we'll get it tomorrow. But he asked for those kind of things like income and blah, blah, blah. And he just didn't have that. So then he said, oh, I went with someone else that we know. And I was like,
it's just the trust and the credibility.
Yeah.
So have a good brand and imagine you need JNQ Properties, and if they're going to do due diligence, so if they Google us, they're going to find a website, they're going to find Google Business,
company's house.
So make sure you're legitimate first. And if you have no record online, then there's a very low chance they're going to trust you.
Yeah.
So I would say build up that first before you approach agents or landlords. So make a company, make a website, make a Google Business, maybe have a few reviews on there. So then you're compliant and they can trust you from that side. And then they can warm to you, because if you have no identity online, then no one's gonna trust you. They're gonna say, oh, you're just another person on the street.
Yeah.
Like even with us, if you're gonna go to a restaurant, we're gonna Google restaurant and see what the reviews are.
Yeah, I was gonna
say. Then it's worth it for us. And they're gonna do it, and it's just a thing that happens these days now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So they're gonna Google you and see if you're legitimate, if you exist online.
Yeah.
Otherwise, how are they gonna trust you?
Because they're handing over their property to you, aren't they? So it's their own property, so they have to be able to trust you. And that's when the contract's also good in place. And
with landlords, it's their pride and joy. Their property is their pride and joy, and they want to give it to someone they can trust. And they don't want, at the end of the day, they don't want their property to be trashed or like burnt down. So they want to give it to someone they trust.
Yeah. And
now we got 3 properties, and we're more confident that we can approach a lot of landlords.
Yeah.
We have more variety of landlords than before. Because our landlord, he came to the property like 3 months after we got it, isn't it? He came around New Year's time to get the gas certificate approved. So he obviously had a look around the property, and he messaged Shani saying, what did he say to you?
He said, I trust that you would allow me to pass your details on to my friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you can, because that's what you like. That's what you do. So these landlords, they then pass on the details, and then you can get more deals through that.
Yeah.
And also his dad also lives on the same road. And I remember when we did get the deal, when he signed the contract, he said that his dad might be moving to another place or something. And, you know, would you be, provided this goes well, I'll be happy to hand that over to you. So obviously we're still waiting for that. But
and like most landlords, they have other landlord friends,
Yeah.
and some landlords even better. They have like their portfolio landlords, so they have more than one property. So in that case, if you take one of them, they're happy with one of them, then there's a high chance of getting other ones as well.
Yeah.
And if you build a good relationship with the agent, and they trust you, and then you follow through what you're gonna do, then they're gonna trust you to give more properties. And if they like you even more, they might give you the properties which are before they're online.
Yeah.
So they give you off-market deals.
Yeah.
They'll prioritize you if you're compliant and if you follow through with what you're doing.
It's kind of like putting yourself out there, and then the opportunities then come to you. That's how you do it. You kind of, yeah,
even now, like, even networking as well. We went to like networking events. We met Zeshan there. We met different people there, and we do get referrals with long-term bookings. Because even I have another renter, like person who does service accommodation in our area, but they couldn't accommodate those guests, so they referred them to me. So now we're in talks for long-term booking with that company. So it's good to have a good network and like reach out to people, help them out, so they'll help you out as well.
Yeah.
And go to viewings, go to open houses, and be open to different strategies as well. So even if you rent to rent, like sometimes there's other ways as well. So you can maybe help out someone, maybe manage someone else's portfolio, and you get cut off that as well. So we met someone who has like a few units in London and Reading, and they couldn't manage themselves, so they want a managing agent for their rents. So that's also another like income for us. So if we approach them and say, you got systems and these are charged per month, and then if they give us 10 or something, then we make money on that side as well. Yeah. So it's always be more open-minded about the approach as well. So don't be just focusing on one thing. So have more broader options.
Yeah. And network as well, like you said, networking is really important.
Yeah.
Because you meet people, they tell you, oh, we might need this, they might need you. So it's really interesting. It's really, really, really good to go to networking events. Pay however much you want to go to networking events because they're worth it. You get a long-term investment through that.
We also have a person ready to JV with us as well. He's always like calling us on a monthly basis saying, have you got any properties for me to JV with you? We're like, yeah.
We got a few potential investors.
Yeah.
Who are willing to work with us. So it's like that. It's just putting yourself out there.
Because they look you up, isn't it? If they look you up on your Instagram or see online, then if they warm to you, then they obviously like you, isn't it? And then you just find a deal with them. And because that JV person, he's got money, but he hasn't got time. And the way he approached me, he goes, I want to rent. So first he came to me asking, I want to rent to rent. And I said, okay, I'll help you out. So I'll give you the first few steps of what you can do to build a company. But then he couldn't do that because he has no time in his hands. But then he's got money. So then I said, if you want to do JV, we can also do that as well. So now he's ready to JV with us right now. Yeah, so
sounds good. Sounds fantastic, actually.
Someone said, what's the best way to sort of get bookings quickly and tricks that you use?
Tenants and bookings. So we do like have different channels. So put your property on booking.com, Airbnb, Verbo, and after one property, we got 3 properties so far. So then you use a channel manager in that case. So that makes it easier for you to put on other platforms as well.
Yeah.
So when you put it on certain platforms, you get to go on like hotel.com, expedia.com. Then you broaden your like booking, the incoming bookings.
Yeah.
And have a website as well. So then you create a brand after certain properties, you create a brand, and then that will lead to your own direct website. So you can direct clients that way. And I will also open rent as well. Open rent is a good place to find tenants.
Yeah, you can put yourself on there.
You can be a landlord on open rent as well.
Yeah.
And
also, if I can add, pre-launching your properties. So if you have had signed the contracts already with the landlord or the agents, and you know that it's going to take 2 weeks for you to get the property renovated, don't wait for your properties to get renovated and then list it on online travel agencies. Just do it straight away. So in 2 weeks, 2 weeks is a lot of time for you to get tenants bookings. So that by the time you're all set, your property is going to be full, or at least start to get full with clients as well. So that's one other way as well to get booked as soon as possible.
Exactly. And also, like, if you're part of a community who does rent around the country, then you can also build a relationship with the corporate clients. And if they want to go to another part of the country, you can tell them that we've got another company there, someone's working with us there. So you can pass the booking on to them, and they can maybe pass their booking on to you, and you both get like a certain percentage. Or even do a free, just a free handover. So then they help you as well for long-term bookings.
That's right.
Any more questions?
Yes, Zeshan.
Something. So is a property redress scheme I heard about online required when refurbishing a property?
That's the PRS scheme, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
I think that's what it is.
That hasn't got nothing to do with if you okay. Well, what do you mean by refurb? As in, do you mean if you're doing BRRs or a full refurb of property, or just small light refurb for rent-to-rent purposes? Because if rent-to-rent purposes, we don't need any you don't need to be compliant pre-hand. But Zeshan, I think you have done a BRR, so do you need a PRS scheme thingy before
Well, technically, it's not a BRR because we've not refinanced out yet.
But just in terms of that, refurb.
So it means just like basic deco. I mean, I've never done anything to do with the redress scheme.
Yeah, and PRS is solely just if you get troubles with any sort of things in relation with clients or landlords or stuff like that, that's when PRS covers you. So you can take it to PRS, who is a body that can help you with sort of problems that you think that you are in the right, and the other person is claiming false accusations against you. That's when you go to PRS and they solve it out. Just pay a small fee to them every time you take a query to them. That's as much as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, guys. But nothing to do with refurb.
Yeah, we agree.
Because for cosmetic refurb, you just need money to refurb it.
That's it. And permission.
I would just get ICO. I mean, PRS and ICO, they're extra things, so you can get them afterwards after you make money.
Yeah.
Then you can get them. Because then if you put it in your website, or if you're part of that, then it's kind of a respectful thing to be part of, and it builds more credibility and trust for your brand, for your company.
Yeah, exactly. The only reason that we got our PRS, ICO beforehand, before we started to look for properties, is because it just gives you that extra bit of credibility that you are compliant with recognized bodies.
So you can put it on your website. It looks very nice.
Exactly.
So just that.
Some landlords have asked for that too. They're like, "Are you part of the PRS?"
Yeah.
And we just give a company number, and they can find out if you are.
Yeah. And even I think one of the guests, they've asked us, didn't they?
Yeah, because we asked for ID, and they're like, "We never heard someone. No one's asked for ID." So I'm like, "I'm part of the ICO, and then there's my certificate. This is the ID."
Straight away.
Yeah.
So it's kind
they
of.
send all of the IDs. I asked for the main guest ID, and they end up sending all of the IDs.
It's like, oh, you're compliant, then we just give you everything.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. Yeah, it's really important to do that. But I think it's anything to do with refurb, no, like you said. What other questions are there?
But there is someone, Suraj, asking, what factors do you look at when selecting a property? So it goes back to your research, I think. So guys.
Yeah. So the location is really important.
Yeah.
You have to make sure like you kind of, so if it's near a university, if it's near a hospital, transport links, train station, if there's transport links like bus stops or anything like that, and also hotels, because if you know that there's hotels near it, you know that it's high demand, like people are willing to do that. And obviously like if there's a hotel for like £100 a night, and if there's an Airbnb or whatever for less or equal amount, you choose that Airbnb because the hotel only offers you a room and a bathroom, suite. But here it's like the kitchen and everything, you've got a whole place. So it's one of those things where you just have to kind of look at the place. There's also AirDNA that you can have a look at.
So there's like called AirDNA. So that's like it shows the database of all Airbnbs and booking.com properties in the area. And you can also look at the history of like the prices and how much has been occupied. And you can also like forecast certain, like, because normally bookings are not consistent throughout the year. So normally there's a high season and low season, and you got to see if you can afford that property in that time of the year, and if you can cross subsidize if you need to. So I would recommend have a look at AirDNA and just looking at data before you go for these areas.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, location is the main thing.
Yeah, location, because imagine as a guest, what would the guest expect? They want it easy to get to the property, and they want to have a shop to go nearby. Imagine they have to go shopping. They need like a Tesco Express or like some kind of supermarket nearby, so they can get their groceries.
Well, they need, because the first property has a Sainsbury local right down the road, so it's like 2-3 minutes. But yeah, that's important. Location is important, and obviously the look of the property is important, but that's down to you. How much
also
you
the curb appeal as well. Imagine you get like a place in a council estate. It's not going to cause good first impression for the guest. So we had other people who the property itself was nice inside, but the area wasn't nice. And that's it's a difficult problem to have, because you might have a good deal in your hands, but the area is bad. So if your guests come to the area, they're not gonna feel safe. So that's not a deal I would go for, but that's something you gotta think about yourself as well.
Yeah, I mean, you might want to make it work, and that's fine. But personally, we wouldn't go for anything that doesn't look.
And also, certain areas they attract different kind of guests. So if you've got a property in an estate area, then you're likely to get clients that are like that,
Yeah.
So that's what I would recommend. So do research ahead of time. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
We'll take a few more, just 1 or 2 more questions, because I know we've taken quite a bit of your time, guys. So if anyone has any more questions, otherwise I'll just start picking on you guys randomly.
I'm so glad I'm not on that end anymore. Yeah, you remember like pick on me, I'm like turn my camera off and mute.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick someone. Okay, Shoaib, unmute yourself. So what did you like about today's call, or do you have any questions? Last words?
Hello guys, how are you doing? I really like what you guys talked about today. Honestly, you guys were very informative. And I would just like to thank Zeshan and where is Blockchain Sensei? Yeah, thank you guys for actually organizing this call. As for any questions, it was just that one question that I put, and I think you guys kind of answered it as well. So I really appreciate you guys for taking time to do that. I don't have any other questions apart from that right now. But thank you very much, guys. Really, really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next person I'm going to pick on is Tianan. I think that's how I pronounce your name. Tianan, if you can hear us, just unmute yourself. Let us know what you got out of value from today's session. Let's do unmute. I don't know if he's a bit shy.
Or even with us.
Oh, okay. So we'll go on to Vinny now. Vinny, if you can hear us, just unmute yourself just let us know what you got out of value of today's session. Just give him a few more seconds.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, finally. I don't actually use this app that much, so I am struggling with it a bit. Yeah, I did get quite a lot of information from it. In terms of like the things you like planning ahead, and what else? The kind of like apps that you use, having a cleaner that can manage everything. So things like that were really very informative. Yeah, I thank you for that.
No
No
problem.
problem.
Yep. All right.
Glad
Okay.
you found it.
Thanks, Vinny. Next person is Gayela. I think that's how I pronounce her name. Gayela, if you can hear us, you can unmute yourself and just.
Hi.
Hiya.
Yeah, today was very informative. Like, it was my first time to attend a property, real estate property, and on Airbnb to learn how to do such thing. It was very informative, like on how to go about, where to start, on what to first furnish your house with, and the item you need first, and that which also on the marketing skill, how your branding. I think that was very informative because there are a lot of many people out there also doing such thing, and how can you be among the big fish, and I really appreciate that, and I will continue to like. I wish more Zoom meetings being host so I can be attending like this. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Gayela. Next person is Paul. Paul, if you can hear us, you can unmute yourself. Paul Woodsa.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Paul.
Hi. Yeah, so obviously I joined late, so I don't know if you touched on this earlier. But I was just wondering if you would need a buy-to-let mortgage to actually use your or could you just use a standard mortgage and just still run an Airbnb business from the house?
Yeah, to answer that, normally all the properties we got has already got a buy-to-let mortgage on it, so we tend to not have any issues with that. But if the landlord if there's a standard mortgage, then I would just ask the landlord to put a clause in saying that they need consent to let, and then that would allow the property to be let to someone else other than the landlord themselves. It's quite a simple procedure to do that.
Does that answer your question, Paul?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much.
No problem.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. I think we've got a few more people left. So next person is Saf. So Saf, if you can hear us, you can unmute yourself.
Hello.
Hey Saf, how you doing? You okay?
Hello.
Hey Saf, yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Hi,
Hi, to be honest.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Saf, the line's a bit bad, so I don't know, maybe if you want to put it in the chat.
Can you hear me now?
Just slightly.
Yeah, things in the pretty and stuff like that.
Still a bit unclear.
It's unclear. Do you mind putting it on the chat if you can, if that's possible?
Yeah, just put it in the chat, Saf, and we'll get to you. While he's doing that, we'll go on to the lady called SJ. I don't know if that's your nickname or your name. So you can unmute yourself, SJ. No. We'll go on to the last one before we go back to Saf. Suraj, so if you can hear us, you can unmute yourself. Hey, Suraj.
Hello.
Hey, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello, great. Firstly, I'd just like to say thank you for hosting this meeting. It was really informative and it's answered a lot of my questions I had. I've actually kind of wanted to get into Airbnb myself, but I've just been like quite unsure about it. So I feel as if like this is like kind of answered any doubts that I had and like any questions. So thank you very much for this meeting.
No problem.
No problem.
Glad to
Glad
hear
you had
it.
to get good value out of it.
Yeah, I'm glad you got value out of that.
No worries. Thanks, Suraj. Hey, Ninja, can you hear us? Ninja's chilling in the office. Hey, Ninja.
One more thing, because everyone's here, we send out now, we got a podcast as well. So you can, we got a few more details on the podcast.
Is it?
Yeah, so
That's
we're in season 2 right now. I mean, most things you know about already, but we got a lot more episodes coming out the next few weeks. So because everyone's here until the end, there's a little value.
Yeah, because we
Yeah,
started
that's
the podcast
great.
like a year ago before we got our property. So it's like our journey from when we started, when we kind of even registered as a limited company, that's all there, to when we got the press property, because there's no podcasts out there where people just started kind of thing. So I feel like it's good to have this when you're new to property, and seeing the journey and just like kind of like thinking like, oh, it gives you hope that okay, you can do it too. And seeing the ups and downs, we've got a lot of detail in there on our challenges.
We also talk about the truth and the true reality of managing properties as an essay.
Yeah.
And because it shows it's more glamorized and looks easier from properties gurus. So you just get property and put on Airbnb and make money. I mean, if it's simple as that, then it'd be easy for us. But there's a lot of challenges we face and a lot of obstacles. So we speak about that in detail in a podcast. So you can listen to that and gain more knowledge that way as well.
Yeah.
Saf, he mentioned in the chat, hi, thanks for the meeting. I learned about the numbers / capital I needed to get going and apps to also use network inside.
Right.
To close.
Glad to hear that, Saf.
I'm just waiting for Ninja to see if he wants to come back on.
Do you want to give him a ring?
He's gone.
Yeah, I'm ringing him, yeah.
Yeah.
So how many properties do you have, HoFin Properties? How many SEs are you managing right now?
Oh, till now, just got one in Liverpool.
All right.
But no, right now we're thinking of getting more in London, no more far, because what happened is obviously we can manage it ourselves and we need a manager to manage it. And currently we're paying a quite good amount of money per month for managing the property. Right. So yeah, hopefully by the end of summer,
Yeah, that's why we were, Ridwan was asking you about some figures as well, because in our mind, we had sort of that sort of figure, that 4 to 5K, if we can get someone, through a landlord or a agent, rather than getting it sourced from someone, because our first property was sourced. So we did pay about, $2,000 as sourcing fee. Right. So yeah, so 4 to 5K as you guys did it. So it's obviously doable for us as well.
Yeah.
And so looking forward to that for now. That's the plan for now, to get units in London. So
I think after the first one, it will just be like a cookie cutter. You can just get it really
Yeah, after you got the one systemized, and then
Yeah.
it's easy to just get more and more.
Yeah.
Just for the same procedure again.
Yeah, 100%.
What about you guys? Is it 3 you guys have up to now?
Yeah, we've got 3
right
so
now.
far.
All in Slough?
2 in Slough, 1 in Hayes.
One in where?
Hayes.
Hayes. There's still patrons as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep it low. We are expanding soon.
Yeah.
We'll hear about that soon as well.
Yeah. I can't get through to Ninja, so I'll just close off on behalf of him. So first of all, everyone, for those of you who are still here, thank you for giving up your Thursday evening to be with us.
Can
Yes,
you
sir.
hear me? I got one question. If you can allow me.
Yeah, go on.
Before you go, I want to say thank you, obviously, to the guys. What's the market like in Birmingham for this Airbnb in general? If I was to do it, that makes sense.
So we asked, what's the market like in Birmingham?
Oh, market.
Birmingham.
Did you say in Birmingham?
Yeah, Birmingham, that's what you said.
Right.
Well, because we're not located there, I wouldn't know properly, but I did go to uni there. So I do know that there's a lot of market for students around the city centre area because there's so many universities there. And so there's loads of student accommodation now. I'm not sure how much they're pricing it, but I think doing HMOs maybe for students can be good, I think. But in terms of essays, I'm not sure how that would work around Birmingham and how big it is and how much there is in the market. It's worth just researching, I think, even looking at AirDNA as well, and talking to people that do essay around Birmingham. There's a few people. I think there's one person. What's his name again? Mayvela. Have you heard of Mayvela?
He's like killing it in Birmingham.
Yeah, he's like the essay king, we'd call him. But yeah, his name is Shamil May, and his branding is Mayvela. So it's worth. Yeah, that's it. So thank you, Siraj. So yeah, if you could just Instagram him, have a look at what he does, because he's doing really well there. So from seeing that, I'm guessing that it's quite big there, especially because now there's like that link, I think, from London straight to, I'm not sure if it's happened yet, but there's like
like a second city now.
It's a second city. It's growing more and it's like becoming more like how London is. So I feel like now is the right time to maybe research it and go through it, because I do have in my head plans to kind of expand there if I wanted to in Birmingham. But yeah, so it's worth having a look at what he does.
Lots of competition.
Lots of competition.
Following up to that, what was the name you said?
Shamil. It's on the chat.
It's in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. And last one, what that app you said, AirDNA, was it?
Yeah,
the website.
Okay. All right, that's all. Thank you, guys.
1 second, I'm just writing that on the chat for you. That's it.
Hope it helps, Saf. Yeah, like I mentioned, everyone, thanks for giving up your evening on a Thursday evening, almost 2 hours now. And thank you guys, Jan, brother and sister, for taking your time out to be here with us today. I know you're quite busy, and so yeah, thank you guys. If you guys want to maybe share your Instagram again, and then whoever wants to connect with you can connect with you.
Yeah. Let's do that. So
these JNQ Properties. Oops.
Oh, sorry.
Ignore that.
I'll just put ours as well, just in case for the people that were new to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether you guys HoFin Properties.
We've followed already.
I think we are following you already, actually, HoFin Properties.
Yeah.
Thank you guys also for asking your questions.
Nice meeting you as well.
Nice meeting you. It was really nice to just converse and talk about each other's experiences. So hopefully we'll connect soon, and good luck with your journey.
Thanks, Zeshan, for arranging it, and Ninja is gone, but
thank
you can thank him.
I'll thank you all on your behalf.
Thanks, guys. We had about 21, 22 people at our peak.
That's not bad.
Good. Not bad.
That's a good test.
That's quite good, yeah.
Very glad.
So yeah, everyone, hope you're all well. And the replay will be on YouTube after 1 or 2 days, whenever Ninja gets the time round to do it. And yeah, everyone, thank you for attending. And I'll just close the Zoom now. So thanks, everyone.